Welcome to the second video for tellers of elections. Again, we're going to enter our election. And I'll just type in my little passcode here and join into the election. As in the first video, you see that we're in before tallying mode, but now things have actually changed. We've gone through the election, we've collected all the ballots for people, we've counted all the ballots and made sure everything was working. Let me just show you that quickly. When we're going to count ballots, we can see here how many ballots we should have collected, because if you remember in the first video, I checked in 5 different people. So we should have 5 ballots available. Down below you can see that I actually made a few mistakes there, and I actually checked off people and then unchecked them. So you can see that I unregistered these 8 people, and this is also helpful sometimes when you forget whether you registered someone or not. You can come and look here and you can say, oh yeah, I did uncheck them later in the evening. So that helps us count the ballots. Now the head teller decides to switch everyone over to the election state of tallying ballots. So there up at the top you can see that it just changed. And now I have a new set of pages that are available to me. I'll make a quick side note here that this all pages allows me to jump to any page, no matter whether the head teller is switched just to that mode or not. But usually you don't need to go to the ones that aren't showing at the time. So what we want to do now is enter a ballot. So I click on enter ballot, and again I need to identify who I am. John is there, and this time, you know what, Glenn is my assistant in this case. And people have already entered some ballots, and as you can see, this is a tutorial, so the counts are not right. 5 people voted, but we've got a whole bunch more ballots. So bear with me, it's not too bad for a tutorial. So I sit down and I have a new ballot, so I click Start New Ballot. As soon as I do that, let me just scroll it up to the top. What I have here now is a ballot ready for me to enter. And you can see over here, this corner, we have B1. What is a very recommended process is to have 2 people at the computer. One person has a piece of paper in hand with a pen, and they, up in the top corner of the ballot, write that number, B1. We often use a red pen just so it's obvious that it's separate. That's the only thing we're going to write on the ballot, and it helps us to link the computer to the piece of paper, which will be important later, especially if we have to revote or recount. So we have a ballot, and you can see here that this is an election for 9 people. We have it's a local spiritual assembly election. So I'm just going to put my mouse over here and start typing someone's name. If you remember, there was an Alfonso. So I'm just going to type A-L. No. How about this? How about Pat? There we go. So I don't have to type the entire name. You can see the name is in green down below, so I'm just going to press enter. And Pat's name is copied over. Now I'm going to type another name. I think I saw Junior. There we go. So now I typed J-U-N. I was thinking Junior, but the system also pulled up some other names that might be close. So Johnny Smith, maybe someone typed the name John with J-U-N instead of J-O-H-N. So maybe this makes us realize that, you know what, this is the right person. So all I did is use the cursor keys on the arrow keys on the keyboard to move up and down until I find one that I want, and I press enter. And there we go. So now I can do another. Now there's 2 Alfonsos, so I'm just going to pick this one here. And you can see that I can just start going through the whole list, and I'm going to try to remember some of the names in this tutorial. They're all made up names, so let me just type an I. And we found 3 people that had an I in their name. So I'll take this person here. Now, on this ballot that we're typing in, we look at the next name and say, who is that? We've never heard of that person. And You know, we just don't know. So they're not on our community list. Maybe I try to type them in, and it's John Smith. Oh, we do have a John Smith. How about John Smithson? And oh, no matches found at all. So we try some other variations and finally decide, maybe the head teller has to help us here, but we finally decide that this person is just not in our list. So I'm going to click this button here, and what's the reason for this being spoiled? Is it unreadable? No, we were able to read it. So let's go up here, and I'm going to say we're going to add John Smithson to our list, but we're going to say that this person, well, let's see. This is an unknown person. We just don't know who they were thinking of when they wrote their name in. So we save that. And John Smithson is now recorded, but we also record that it's spoiled. So now, the next name on the sheet, we say, hey, I recognize that person, but they just moved out of here a couple of months ago. So again, we add a new name, and maybe this person was Mary Brown. And the reason that they're ineligible is they moved elsewhere. So let's save that. And so Mary Brown is now recorded. Now, let's, for the sake of this tutorial, let's say that this ballot was supposed to have 9 names, but you know what? They didn't. All they did was use 6 spaces. So we just say, okay, let's move on to the next one. Say, start new ballot. And we're ready to go on ballot number 2. I'll go back to ballot 1 in a minute, but let's just put a few more names in here. You remember Mary Smith, or not. Where did she go? Let's try Smith. Actually, it wasn't Mary Smith, it was, okay, John Smithson. He's one of the people that we've seen his name before, and we've recorded him as being a spoiled ballot, a spoiled vote on the ballot. So you can see that he will show up in this list. Let's see if I can find that. Oh, Mary Brown is the other one. So Mary Brown is now in our list, so that if her name is used somewhere else, we can identify her again, and we still know that she's moved elsewhere recently. So let me just fill in the rest of this. I'm going to choose all these people. It was very nice of the person filling out the ballot to use all the names so close together here. So let's do a couple more. There we go. The system realized that you entered the 9th name, so it automatically saved the ballot and is ready to start a new one. If we take a look, let me just show the ballot that we entered here before. The screen's a bit small for this tutorial. Remember the first one we looked at was B1, and there were too few. So it's listed as too few, and that will be recorded as a spoiled ballot. B2, we typed in 9 names, but we know that 2 of them were spoiled, and it shows that. The ballot itself is okay, but 2 of them are spoiled. So you can see that it's very important to enter the ballots as faithfully as you can into the system. If there's an empty space, leave an empty space. If it's the wrong name, type in that name, but mark it as spoiled. You can see another ballot that someone entered before. I'll just click on it, and we can look at it over here. It says duplicate names, and yes, sure enough, you can see that Elizabeth Lincoln was entered twice. And again, as long as that's what's on the piece of paper, that's what you need to enter into the computer. If we look through some of the other ballots that were entered before, well, here's a spoiled one. We can go back and review. Yeah, we missed 2 names. We go back to the list of ballots. This one here was actually okay, but one was spoiled, and let's make sure the meaning is clear, and maybe someone wrote it in a language that no one here can understand, so we just have no hope of recording who that is. Okay, that's about it from what I want to show you here. There's a number of other nice little things on here, and again, show instructions helps you look at some things. I'll just hide that back. This, I'll leave those for another tutorial. That's about all we need. If I go back to this A4, it's ready for me to add more names. If we finally figured out a name we were struggling with, we are now ready to enter it. We can do that. Otherwise, we can just start a brand new ballot. If a ballot needs to be reviewed by the head teller, we can tick here, and that ballot will be shown on the dashboard for the head teller, and they can maybe come over and ask you what the issue is and if they can help you figure out something. Another thing that I'd like to point out is when we record a ballot, it's very useful to make sure the names are all in the exact same order as on the piece of paper. So if you realize that you entered two of them wrong, over to the side there's little arrows here. If you put your mouse on it and click and drag, you can rearrange the order to match what's on paper. And maybe on this one we looked at it and realized, whoa, that wasn't Timothy O'Rourke that was there, it was some other Tim. So we come over here and we delete that, and then we say add to ballot, and then we say, let's see if there's another Tim in our system. No, let's see. Okay, so maybe it's Daniel Tonini instead. Oh, but that makes it a spoiled ballot. Look at that. Well, so much for that ballot, but that's okay. That's what's on paper, so we're going to record it that way. So that's a quick overview of entering ballots, and as you go through the stack of papers, you'll eventually enter them all into the computer, and when that's done, the head teller is able to proceed and analyze the results. Let me just show you a quick view of this monitor page I referred to as a dashboard before. You can see here that one ballot was marked as needing review, and the head teller can find out who's entering that and come over and help you out. Up here you can see that we expected to get 5 ballots, but we're actually entering through 30, which is totally unexpected, and only because this is a tutorial would this be acceptable. But you can see where all those ballots are and who entered the ballots, who's doing them right now. Each computer has a code number, code letter. You can see B, and that matches this right up in the corner here. Whenever you connect to the election, your computer will be given a letter, and that letter will just be attached to the various ballots so that we can keep track of who's done what and make it easier to track down or recall what's been going on, so we have a full audit of everything that's been done with the election. And with that, I will leave it, and I'm going to actually sign out since I'm done with this video. Thank you, and have a good day.